What's going on YouTube? Today we're going to be going over February 4th, all the trades I took today. We made a little bit over 100 points, we made about 104. So I'm just going to be going over all the trades I took, and as always, every single trade was shared live in Discord. So if you guys could see here, every single trade I basically shared live in real time with you guys. Longed, the stop, and flat, longed, the stop, the flat, whatever. So every single trade was basically shared in real time with you guys. Um, but we're just gonna be going over all the trades. Basically gonna be pretending I took them live in replay mode. I'm just gonna be showing you guys all the trades I took, and just basically explaining why I took them, the reasoning behind it, the theory, the thesis, the thought, everything that basically just goes into taking these trades. This is stuff nobody really talked about. This is about the why I took that trade. It's not just about giving alerts. It's not just about following my trade. It's about understanding why, so you can eventually start trading and doing this on your own. I'm not doing this so you could forever follow my trades and make money, whatever. That's cool and all. But the whole point of this is that you could be able to fish on your own eventually. So in this video, that's basically my goal in this video, is to teach you how I'm thinking in these trades, and I highly advise you guys watch through the whole thing. It might be 20-30 minutes. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I do really think this is really valuable information, and if you do want to succeed, um this is some really free and good information that I do think you should pay attention to. So without yapping too much, let's go ahead and get started. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, so we already had this run which I did not trade. I'm seeing some support come at 620. So we see a bounce here, bounce here, bounce here. We look at the bigger time frame, bounce, bounce, bounce. We're seeing some resistance near the IB high. So this is something you notice on the 15-minute chart really quickly. Right, every time we come here, we go down, we go down. Now we're near it. So you can see reject, 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 reject. Now we're pushing a little bit up. So I'm thinking, okay, we could, potentially test this area one more time, maybe break a little bit over IB high, and then, come back down. Kind of what I'm thinking right now. I'm just gonna get started. So we first see the first initial pullback. It's not really a pullback, but we didn't see a massive breakout. I would expect some type of big breakout over 660, 670, but we didn't really get one. Right as we popped, we started seeing the selling come right back out. So at this point I'm thinking, okay, so the 10-minute may finish inside the wick with a sweep right above. So I'm looking at the bigger time frame. I'm like, okay, so we probably just sweep these highs and then maybe retrace back to 640 or something. And then for the IB high here, this is the 15-minute chart, 10-minute, 1 minute. So for the IB high here, I'm thinking we could sweep the IB high and then maybe potentially come back down. So we see the swick there. So I take it short. Since we popped right above and we're stalling, we get this red wick and we're seeing this red candle. So I take a short there, and my stop is at 985. So my stop is basically right at this value area high of last week. And this is exactly what I wanted, right? For this candle to flip red, basically sweep those 675 highs, and for us for the 15-minute to close under the IB high, because I feel like under the IB high we can invite more sellers because we rejected it, we swept this high and we rejected it again. Now we could finally have some sellers after a day of literally only going up. So this would be the first real pullback of a 250 plus point move. And at this point right here, I'm short from up here. I'm targeting somewhere near 640 to 650. And you're gonna ask, why am I targeting that? Well, if you look here, I am targeting the 100% extension on the 10-minute opening range. So you see every time we go to the 10-minute 100% opening range extension, we bounce. It was a resistance here. We popped above. We tried to go under it. We didn't. And then we tried to go under it again. We didn't. And we moved up. So we know this area is a pretty strong pivot area. And 40 is basically the open of this candle as well, the 15-minute. So I'm looking just somewhere, as long as we can get somewhere in this green box where we keep bouncing. Because if you notice, we're not bouncing here, right? We usually keep on bouncing in this 40 to 20 area. Under 20 is danger, and as long as we're kind of in this box, it looks pretty good. So it goes into my box, and I take profit. Not really much thought to it. I guess we kind of got a little bit lucky with the short there. I just saw some stalling at the pop, and we saw the 10-minute right as it swept the 675 and started coming back down. I had lots of conviction that this would, retest the 100% extension, which it did. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, we could keep taking this area long, but now we're having the first actual pullback since the move up. If you notice, we've been moving up the entire day, and now we're starting to, struggle a little bit up in this area. So I'm thinking, okay, this is probably the area where we're probably just gonna chop, move up and down, up and down, up and down. I could probably want to take it, for a long, but I need it close in this, 20 area. I don't really want it that much higher. So I'm just really just giving it time to kind of digest this move. I'm not really forcing a trade. Just watching. There's one thing I'm watching for. So if you notice here on the look bottom left, if you notice here at the IB, we keep failing at the IB high. The IB stands for initial balance. The initial balance is the high and the low of the first 1 hour. So take the first hour, so between 9:30 to 10:30 Eastern time. Take the high and low of that, and you should get the IB high and the IB low. This is the high and low of the first hour of trading. So there's one scenario that's playing in my head, which is, okay, we keep testing this IB high, initial balance high. If we break above it, and have a breakout, I may not be able to catch it, but I may be able to catch it if it goes up, comes back down to the IB high where I could buy it, and then we go back up. So that's kind of a thought that's running through my head right now, because we see this buying that's happening at, somewhere between 20 to 40. So I'm thinking, okay, there may be, some institutional accumulation, whatever's going on in this area. I just know there's accumulation in this area, that I'm noticing that there's a buyer down here. So I'm thinking, okay, if we break over this 670, 680, it's going to be explosive. I'm not going to be able to catch it. So we can possibly break over 660, 665 and come back down and to retest it to make sure that there is still a buyer there. I would be interested in taking this long, into taking it, basically riding it up. So this is exactly what I was talking about. The breakout would be too fast and I wouldn't be able to catch it. If you look at the 10 minutes getting explosive, look at the 15 minutes getting explosive. This is kind of what I was just talking about. So at this point I'm thinking, okay, I'm not gonna chase it. I'm not gonna run after the price. If it comes back down, as long as it closes above this 15-minute closes above IB high, and it comes and retests it, I will be buying there. So we see a massive breakout up, and we're coming down to retest it. At this point, I'm thinking, perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. I am looking to buy somewhere between 660 to 663. This is exactly what I wanted. I want to make sure that there's a buyer still at the old resistance. So now this was what I would be looking for is for this resistance to turn into support. Okay. As long as it kind of stalls there a little bit and slows down, I would be looking to buy in that area. So we see it go back to this, 663. I take a long there. So now I'm long in this area on the 15-minute chart, and you can see on the 1 minute, I am long, basically the IB high here, and my stop is pretty small. I think it's 50 or 55. So maybe like a little bit under this candle or something like that. And the whole point is, I want this to work right away. The only reason why I have a small stop on this trade is because I want this to work right away. I'm not open for negotiations. I'm not open for 2-3 points extra. No, I want this to go to IB high and straight up rock it. And my target is somewhere between 90 to 95. If you could see here, last time we went to 80, we failed. Last time we went to 85, we failed. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe we go to 90 to 95, we'll possibly fail again. We sold off pretty aggressively both times. I'm thinking, anywhere between 80 to 95 is a potential sell area for me. We move up, we break out into the 90, and I take my profit instantly. Um, Only because we started seeing sellers come in a little bit here right before the breakout. We had a big move up, and I just take my profit. There's no reason to really hold that much longer, especially since we saw this big liquidation happen. If this didn't happen and we started moving a little bit smaller, I would be a little bit happier. But since we had a really big aggressive move down when we moved to 85, it told me that there's a big seller in this area. Look what happened last time we went to 80. We flushed all the way down to 25, 20. And last time we went to 88, we flushed instantly back to 63. So I know that there's a seller in this area just waiting to get better prices. So as long as we got 90, I'm gonna take my profits and basically just fuck off. And at this point here, I'm thinking, okay, I could probably take IB again, or since we sold off pretty aggressively, now I know for a fact that there's a big seller in this area. Remember, look at this aggressive move, aggressive move, aggressive move. I'm looking, okay, I am looking to not buy up here. I feel like this is a little bit too sketchy now. I'm looking to buy a little bit lower. So somewhere in this green box is where I'm looking to buy. Somewhere between 20 to 40. I don't want to buy up there. We already know there's a seller up here. My risk reward is it's not that good. But if I wait all the way to come down here or maybe down here, then I could target, this red box with my stop, being a lot smaller, if that makes sense. We're gonna move. This is exactly what I wanted, and then I'm looking for a reaction off this 1 minute green box. So now we start seeing some small buying come in. You can see by the wicks. And if you look at the 10 minute, we know that there's a really good pivot at 40 where we actually covered earlier, if you remember here. Every time we go to the 100% extension on the 10 minute, we bounce. So if you notice here, we're starting to bounce. Here we bounced. In this whole area, there's lots of demand zone. You could just draw some type of box like this. So every time we go to this area, we basically bounce. And so I'm looking down at the 1 minute, and I'm waiting for a bounce. So we start to see the initial buying reaction. I'm like, okay, this is fantastic. This is great. We know there's still buyers in this area. I'm interested in taking this long. So I take it long. Take it long at 45. And my stop is just basically a little bit under this wick. I'm risking 10 points, give or take. I do believe it was a 30 though. So maybe somewhere like here. And then just because under 30, we could probably accelerate to 25, 20. And under 20, we could just bleed under, 615. I would probably try again a little bit lower, maybe in this area. But I just had a small stop because once again, I want this to work instantly. At the top of this demand box, similar to this trade where we just go, test it, and we move. And then my target is at 60 to 65. So I'm targeting anywhere between, this previous old support here. So you can see here, this was support, and then it failed where we had a big seller come in here. So I'm just looking for, 60 to 65 where we had this, kind of area here. If we could draw a little. You do something like this. We test the same area. This is exactly what I wanted to see. We retested the same area, and we confirmed that the buyer is still in this area. We bounced here, we bounced here, we bounced here. After we bounced up, we tested the same exact area, we bounced, and I'm saying that in my head, I'm like, okay, this is fantastic news. As long as we can get to a blue box, we could maybe even break out above. So we start seeing, small rejection signs at 60, right? This candle is kind of struggling to break above. We start to see the first red pullback. I'm like, okay, there is a seller in this area. I'm gonna give it, maybe 1-2 more minutes. If we kind of just stall and play slow in this area, then I probably just want to basically just take my profits and leave. So we're in this area. We test it again and we fail, and then we test the area one more time, and I basically just take profit. And I do believe this fails. Yep. And so it keeps rejecting this area. If you notice, we failed here. We rejected here. We got another sell, another wick right on this candle, and I'm like, all right, just give me out. So I mark it 60, whatever, and I get out. This could go higher. It looks great, but it could also fail and just come all the way back down. And what I learned from yesterday with Trump in office and all that is that you just want to make your money and just hop out, because at any time in the day, the dude could open his mouth and the market could crash or it could pump. So if you're uncertain or it's near a certain area, the chart usually front runs it. If you're uncertain, just get out. And at this point, I'm basically done with my day. So I'm up 80 to 90 points, I believe. I'm up like 84 points something. We had this massive short up here, and we had this long up here, where I basically picked it up off the IB high, and I took it all the way up to like 90s, right? And I had this dip that I wanted to take it over 60, which would have been great. Because if we had a trend up day, we would have had here, we would have break over the blue box, tested the blue box, and we would have just flew up. That's if we had if we had more gas in the tank to go higher. But we didn't, which is why we failed up here. At this point, I'm like, okay, we're kind of just might just chop around the whole day. You could see how after we made the whole move up, now we're just up and down, up and down. We already made our money. Don't want to stay here too long because you could just get chopped up in the middle. Trump could say one thing, it could, mess your trading up, revenge trade, whatever. So at this point, I'm thinking, all right, I'm done. Had some pretty good trades. I do take one more trade. I just take it a lot later in the day. But at this point, I'm not trading anymore. I'm barely even watching the market. I do believe Trump announces some new news or something, or the market crashes soon. Yeah, there it is. So first signs of support in this area. See bouncing. Resistance here. Broke above. So now ideally you'd want this, green box to hold so you could kind of guess for a bottom. Green box held right there. Something really funny I'm about to comment on. Top Step actually went short at this blue line right here. And the reason why it's a terrible short is because you could see how it flipped resistance into support. It's basically getting ready for a massive breakout over this yellow line, and Top Step takes a massive loss on that. Yeah, so that was just a funny comment. And we go to the green box again, and I'm thinking, okay, anywhere in the green box, it just looks like a great long, honestly. We held it here, we held it here. This looks great. So I'm not really trading much. I'm just not thinking much of it. But at this point right here, I'm thinking, okay, this could be a possible short. If we kind of pay attention to what's going on, we just made this higher low bottom here, and we're running up, all the way to previous resistance. So if we look here, we had this 40 right here. Remember that we took a long on that we covered at. So we know this 40 area used to be pretty good support. We used to bounce here consistently, or between this 20 to 40 area. And we know that there's some resistance. Last time before we had the Trump news, we know that there's resistance somewhere at 50 to 52. We could draw a quick, line right there. So we know this is our resistance line, where over that, the market could break out. Very simple. So we know over this 52, the market could just absolutely explode. And I'm not looking to, be short. So I'm looking for, at this point, for a short. If you notice on the 10-minute right here, we're nearing the 100% extension where we used to bounce. If you remember, we used to bounce here, bounce here. We used to bounce this whole time. And what do we know about bounces? We know that support becomes resistance, resistance becomes support. They always co-flip. So at this point, I'm just kind of monitoring the area. I'm just watching, and I'm like, all right. So let's see if there's any resistance near this 40 area. And what do you see? You see lots of resistance. There's basically this invisible wall at 40 that we can't cross. And when we just crossed it, we came right back down. So I'm thinking, okay, this seems like a really good short. We could take a short at 40 and kind of target this, 20 area down here where we keep on bouncing. So if you notice here, resistance, resistance, and this is when we had the massive breakout. So basically just resistance turned into support. So I'm thinking the next time there could be support is back at this, 20 area, maybe 07, but primarily this 20 area. And I'm looking to take a short. If you look left here on the 10-minute chart, we know that there's the 100% extension as well, which is a really good confluence. And we just keep on rejecting this 40 area, so I eventually take a short. I believe I take a short right there. Yeah, so I take a short right there, and I have a stop. My stop is right above this red line, so I'm risking 10 points, not even 10. I'm risking 10 points right above this red line, you can see how there's also this invisible wall here, but over this red line, this could just squeeze up back up. If we go back up over this wick right here, we're basically, open arms, so 670 to 680, which is something I would not want if I'm short 640. Since I'm only risking 10 points, this kind of fits my criteria. And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, as long as we could kind of break this 30 area, that would look fantastic. So if we draw a little support box here, this is kind of what I'm watching, right? I'm looking for a break under this blue box. As long as we can kind of break this little support area, we should be able to teleport to 20 pretty fast because there's no support there. There's no support under 30 until 20 is what I mean. We start testing this 30 area where the previous support is at, and you can see how it's starting to get weaker. So here it used to bounce a lot, and now as we're getting into it, we're not seeing these bounces anymore. The market's just barely holding, and now we're a little bit under it. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, like under 28 to 27 to 29, market could really just kind of flush down really fast. And we test the blue box, and this is when I knew it right here. We retested to try to bounce back, and we failed. This is like a prime short right there. Then you can see here on the 10-minute how we had an insanely good short setup, very similar to the first setup we took. So we tested this 40 areas, we failed, we swept it, we tried again, and then we swept it one more time, and we failed all 4 times. So we know that there's a clear seller at this 40. We also know it's a 100% extension, and we also knew it was support in the mornings. So it's kind of all the confluences at once just coming together to form one big nice trade. You can see on the 15-minute, it basically just swept the scandal, came back into previous support area, and it failed. And on the 1 minute, look right, on the 1 minute, you could see how it's starting to break down. At this point, I'm just targeting, yep, this is like perfect. I'm just targeting 20 to 18. And I just take profit there. Just because I saw it was stalling a little bit there. And it ends up bouncing right where we thought, right? Only because if you pay attention, we resistance, we had a breakout. This is just basically a breakout retest in a pretty bullish structure after we moved up. So that was basically all the trades for the day. Really simple trades, not hard. What I always say is trading is not easy, it's simple. You can make it easy if you want to. You don't have to chase this move up, whatever. You could just, as long as you wait for the right trade. So like the market can't keep going up forever. So if you can spot the right exhaustion move, you could take it nice right back into basically basic support. I'm gonna recap the trades really quickly. So we had this initial short right here because I kept seeing resistance near the initial balance high. So if you look left, bottom left, we had this initial balance high resistance. I basically shorted the sweep of the IB high, and then I covered into this red candle right here. So all I did was basically just short the sweep on a bigger time frame. And then next trade was buying the IB high retest. So when we broke out above the IB high on this candle right here, the white one 673, I waited to get the 663 bottom. So when I saw a reaction here, I just waited for the same exact one with a small stop under the the big pop candle, and I just wanted to sell at the exact same, just a few points higher than the previous high day, just because I know there's always a seller. So seller here, seller here. I figured there would also be a seller in the same area, just waiting to get a few points higher. And then when we bounced back into the 40s area where we kept bouncing, so we bounced here, like this whole area, we just keep on bouncing. Check this out. If you just look at this area, every time we go in this green box, we just keep on bouncing. So bounce. So I long it here. I tried to take this a little bit higher, but I see some selling come near this blue box that I just drew. Basically this 2 area support area, and so I just sell just so it doesn't round trip on me, and that's exactly what it did. Then at that point, I'm done for the day. So I'm just kind of watching for maybe one last setup, but at this point I don't really care anymore. So we spot this no longer here, but I didn't take it because I was done. Then I see this like A+ short. That we see this basically super strong invisible wall with a really tight stop loss. Something like this, right? Where every single time it goes in this box, it's basically an big invisible wall, right? This is what a resistance is. It's resisting to go higher. So I take a short right at the resistance with a stop above this red line. Why this red line? Because that was a resistance in this area. So over it, we could just explode up. And I take it back to 20, where we used to bounce in this green box. That's the bottom of the green box right here. If you notice, we used to bounce in this green box. Now we rejected it. We had a breakout, and that's when I took profits. It could have went a lot lower, but as long as you have a systematic ways of taking profits and entering, it's all that really matters. And the market kind of did its thing. So at that point, I'm up 100 points, and I kind of just call it a day, because I know there's Google and AMD earnings after the close, and I don't want to be involved in little just fireworks up and down. And yeah, and let me show you guys all the trades that we took in Discord. So if you guys could see, we took all the trades in Discord. So short is 679, so which was basically the first short. Which is basically, if you look at your 678, 679, and I covered 640. Long 65, basically buying the IB high, right? And we see the IB high wicked up. I sold at 90 on the breakout on the move up, and we're just telling everybody to simplify it. I said one more trade so I could be at 80, 90 points. We saw it come back to this 40 area where we had this, big support area. And after seeing some buying coming in, you could see why the wick. Aiming for 60 to 65, flat 660, basically my target that I gave you guys beforehand. And I was up around 10,000, and then I saw this beautiful setup come, which is a short. So if you look here, you have the resistance. We're failing to break this, 45 area. And I would have a stop at this wick right here at 52. And what do you know happens? We reject 42, and I'm looking for a breakdown under 30, and that's exactly what happens. And we flush a little bit under 615, and that's when I take profits. It was too good to pass up. You can see this invisible wall right here, 642, whatever. I'm not gonna get repetitive, but I hope this video helped. As you guys can see, I take everything live with you guys. No hindsight, no bullshit, no nothing. Every single trade taken with you guys in live, real time in Discord. And I just explained everything here. So I hope this helped. Let me know if you guys have any questions. You could just drop them in the comments. You could DM me on Twitter. You could join the Discord, and you could DM me there, at me, whatever. I'm here to help you guys out. Thanks for watching this video. I hope this video helped. Let me know what other videos you guys want me to make or recommendations, and I will probably do them because I love helping. So once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow for more trading. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching.